A special thank you to our presenting sponsor, Fifth Third Bank, who has committed $5.6 billion to Greater Chicago in community development investments through 2020. A great example of corporate citizenship and a dedication to improving the city of Chicago and the surrounding communities. We'd like to give special recognition to Eric Smith, who is president of Fifth Third Bank Chicago and a fellow member of the Economic Club. Eric, thank you so much for everything. We're delighted to have Joe Eberhard as our speaker this afternoon, and Joe will give brief remarks, after which he will join me on stage to answer a few questions. The program will end at 12:30, and at that time, lunch will be provided at the stations behind you through 1:30, and then you've got the run of the show all to yourself until 5 p.m. tonight. A diagram of the program, so you know the layout of the floor, is conveniently located on the back of today's program. Now, I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker. Joe Eberhard became president and CEO of Jaguar Land Rover North America in December 2013. And in his role for Jaguar Land Rover's operations, it includes sales, service, and marketing in the United States and in Canada. Joe has over 25 years of global industry and retail experience, including executive leadership in sales, marketing, and service roles at Chrysler Group, Daimler Chrysler UK, Mercedes-Benz USA, and Daimler-Benz AG. He also has held senior leadership and advisory positions in the technology, consulting, and communications industries, including Boston Consulting Group, and remains a graduate-level adjunct professor of marketing at New York University's Stern School of Business. Joe holds a master's degree in political economics from the Academy of Administration and Economics in Stuttgart, Germany, and an MBA from NYU's Stern School of Business. Please join me in welcoming Joe Eberhard.
Quite a long walk here. Thank you, David, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you just heard, we decided to do things a little differently this year. And instead of having lunch in the ballroom, we are really pleased to welcome the Economic Club of Chicago to our stand to offer you a sneak peek of some of the exciting and great new product from Land Rover. I have to say it's great to be here in Chicago, one of my favorite cities in the world. I come here quite frequently to visit my son who attends Northwestern. But honestly, I'll use any excuse I can to visit and check out the incredible music scene, because that's where we discovered Chicago natives Jamie and Solo Woods, who are here with us today, which I'm really personally very excited about. I mean, I love the car business, but between you and me, who I really want to be when I grow up is Simon Cowell. But for now, however, I'm quite content to be the German-born CEO of the North American division of Jaguar Land Rover, a British company owned by one of India's leading companies, Tata Motors. This global diversity is part of what gives Jaguar Land Rover a very unique perspective of the intricacies and implications of a world economy in transition. Our industry in particular faces unprecedented geopolitical and regulatory challenges. There are trade issues with China, potential new tariffs in the US, and of course for us, Brexit. As a British-based company, I'm sure you can appreciate that Brexit has us especially on edge at this particular time. Leaving the European Union without a deal would cost the company more than £1.2 billion profit each year. If the UK automotive industry is to remain globally competitive, we urgently need the UK government to provide certainty for business, including guaranteed tariff-free access to frictionless trade with the European Union. All of these issues are negatively affecting customer demand for all automakers, though Jaguar Land Rover, as you've seen in the video, continues to grow here in the US. This morning, we announced our global third quarter financial results. And because of these global challenges, we declared a third quarter pre-tax loss of £281 million, with an additional one-time capital investment adjustment. To combat these headwinds, the company has announced wide-ranging transformational programs to deliver $2.5 billion of investment, working capital, and profit improvements by March of 2020. These improvements will allow us to continue making targeted investments in new products and technologies with a particular emphasis on electrification. We're confident that our transformation, supported by a strong product offensive, will create a leaner and more resilient business that safeguards Jaguar Land Rover's long-term future. So let's talk about some of those technological and consumer trends that will define the auto industry going forward. Many believe the world of mobility will see more change in the next 10 years than the entire last century. It will be as transformative as the original transition from horses to cars in the early 20th century. At Jaguar Land Rover, the answer to this change and our vision for the mobility of tomorrow is Destination Zero. Zero emissions, zero accidents, and zero congestion. Our ambition is to provide safer, cleaner, and more efficient vehicles. We also believe that autonomous, connected, electric, and shared mobility services will transform society on a global level, and certainly throughout major metropolitan areas like right here in Chicago. To that end, we have partnered with a leading developer of autonomous vehicle technology, Waymo, which you probably still know as the autonomy division of Google, to develop the world's first premium self-driving electric vehicle for the driverless transportation service, Waymo One. The Jaguar I-Pace will be the first premium self-driving electric vehicle in the Waymo One fleet, and the first prototypes are now on the road testing in San Francisco. Beginning in 2020, up to 20,000 Jaguar I-Pace vehicles will be built over 2 years for riders of Waymo's driverless service, serving a potential 1 million trips per day. Most autonomous driving today is currently only taking place within small, controlled, geofenced areas. But as the leaders in luxury SUVs, our future self-driving vehicles must be the most capable in the widest range of terrain, on and off-road, and in all weather conditions. Other aspects of autonomy we're working to solve include making sure that pedestrians and driverless vehicles can happily coexist on the same roads. We recently began testing self-driving pods that have a unique ability to communicate with pedestrians by literally projecting their intention onto the road ahead of them for everyone to see. And although full autonomy is still a thing of the future, make no mistake, it will be here sooner than you think, democratizing mobility and providing new services and new ways to spend our most precious resource, which is time. Connectivity is the key then to making self-driving a reality. We're working on data and sensor-based technology that will connect the vehicle to everything around you, including other vehicles, which will allow seamless, free-flowing traffic and a lot less congestion. In the future, connected technology in our vehicles will mean the car can actually monitor your health, automatically change the interior lighting or music according to what your particular mood is at the time. The connected vehicle of tomorrow will know you better than most of your friends. Another revolutionary force in our industry today is the advent of shared services, such as ride sharing or car sharing. Shared services allow us to offer a wider choice of customized mobility solutions to adapt to individual needs. This mobility revolution will not only fundamentally change the way we move, but also how we live and work. Jaguar Land Rover created InMotion Ventures, our venture capital fund, to invest in early-stage technology companies looking to change the face of urban mobility. In addition to a very significant investment in the ride-hailing company Lyft, Jaguar Land Rover, through InMotion Ventures, are investing in startups such as GoKid, a closed community rideshare platform for schools, sports leagues, and families. GoKid is carpooling made easy with manageable schedules and live in-car tracking. And Voyage, a US-based self-driving, on-demand taxi service for for residential communities. Voyage is also developing a global service with the aim that anyone can summon an autonomous vehicle to their door and reach their destination safely. Another important trend in our industry that Jaguar Land Rover is fully embracing is electrification. With the I-Pace, Jaguar took a clean sheet approach to develop a unique vehicle architecture and electrical drivetrain, paired with a dramatic design, and created the brand's first all-electric performance SUV. And on the Land Rover side, the plug-in hybrid electric Range Rover and Range Rover Sport will go on sale this summer, along with a car we're going to show you today, the all-new Range Rover Evoque, which will come with a mild hybrid electric powertrain. Although the consumer demand for EVs in the US is still only about 1% of total sales, what's interesting really to note is that this has increased by 25% since 2016. And in Los Angeles, EVs and hybrids present a full 17% of the market already. So it's trending upward for sure, which is why we're committed to electrification in our production vehicles as well as in our race cars. In fact, we're the first premium manufacturer to join the all-electric Formula E racing series. And from 2020, every new Jaguar or Land Rover will have the option of electrification in some form, from full hybrid to EVs to hybrid variants. In addition to electrification, the most notable trend in our industry is the rise of the SUV. Last year, achieving almost 70% of the market. This growing appetite for SUVs is why Jaguar now offers a family of 3 SUV models: the all-electric I-Pace, the F-Pace, and the compact E-Pace. And this trend towards SUVs helped Land Rover to be the fastest growing brand in the industry. In fact, we set a new record in the US in 2018 with over 92,000 vehicles sold, up 23% year over year from a previous record in 2017. It's a trend that will only continue to grow and, in our opinion, will not reverse itself anytime soon. And as the manufacturer of the world's only all-luxury SUV brand, we're sort of okay with that. In fact, while Jaguar is just entering the SUV space, I think it's fair to say that Land Rover has been producing the most luxurious and capable SUVs in the world since the company was founded 70 years ago. Within Land Rover, there are 3 distinct product families, each with its own character and personality. But most importantly, they're all underlined by Land Rover's breadth of capability and design. The Range Rover family, which is the luxury extension of the brand. Recently, Range Rover Velar was named the World Car Design of the Year. And just 2 days ago, we announced a new model, the Range Rover Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic. This limited edition builds on the Velar's distinctive design with unique trim finishes and luxury accessories, and delivers exceptional performance with a supercharged 5-liter V8 petrol engine delivering 550 horsepower, all with Range Rover refinement. Then there's the Discovery family, which combines versatility, design, and capability. And very soon, a new family of Defenders, the world's most capable off-road vehicles. Now, right before the holidays, we announced that the next generation Land Rover Defender will be revealed this year and will go on sale in both the US and Canada early 2020. This is our most rugged, most capable Land Rover in the lineup, and enthusiasts have been eagerly waiting for the next generation Defender. When it debuts later this year, we think the Defender will win a new generation of fans while simultaneously honoring its 70 years of heritage for rugged durability. Now, onto the main attraction. When the Range Rover Evoque made its debut in 2010, it literally transformed the world of luxury compact SUVs. The Evoque is a small Range Rover with the on-road presence, capability, and refinement you would expect, plus great fuel efficiency and cutting-edge technology. As you will see, the all-new next-generation Range Rover is as sophisticated as the prior car, but a true evolution of the original model. But rather than me telling you, let's take a quick look. And now, for the very first time in the US, ladies and gentlemen, the new Range Rover Evoque, accompanied by Chicago's own Jamie and Solo Woods.
Get me one time, it's alright. Get me two times, it's all mine. Get me three times, no more. Around, 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 around. Get me one time, it's alright. Get me two times, it's all mine. Get me three times, no more. Around, 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 around. I thought I'd hit the big score, thought I'd figured it out, yeah. Thought I found a lover here to stay. But you flipped the switches, baby, and you don't call no more, don't come around no more. And I know you wouldn't treat your mama that way. If your sister came home with a heart broken, you'd have something to say. Oh my darling, I really cannot be fooling with you no more, no more. So many reasons to close that door, that door. Get me one time, it's alright. Get me two times, it's alright. Get me three times, no more. Around, 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 around. Get me one time, it's alright. Get me two times, it's alright. Get me three times, no more. Around, 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 around.
Thank you very much. How about another great round of applause for this fantastically talented band? Thank you, guys. Today, we're announcing that the all-new Range Rover Evoque goes on sale this spring and will be priced at $42,650. As more and more SUVs come to market, the truly unique ones, like the all-new Evoque, with its unrivaled design and cutting-edge technology, might just be the one for you. Ladies and gentlemen, the auto industry is challenged by economic disruption and rapid technology change for sure, but nothing beats the excitement of showing off new vehicles. It is by far the best part of my job. And we have really enjoyed bringing this new Evoque to Chicago. Last week, while everyone was fighting the polar vortex, Land Rover collaborated with local photographer Trash Hand and Chicago fashion designers Angela Brantley and Ria Fernandez of Hero Black to bring the design, innovation, and sustainability characteristics of the new Range Rover Evoque to life. Let's have a look.
I got started with photography, just walking about, shooting the streets of Chicago with just a phone, and eventually worked my way up to full camera. I could never run out of places to shoot in Chicago. Between the art, architecture, fashion, and music, this place is endless.
Get me one time, it's alright. Get me two times, it's all mine. Get me three times, no more. Around, 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 around.
My favorite thing about Chicago is because the city burned down, because of the Chicago fire, they got to refine the city, they got to redo the city, they got to make it better than it was previously. They got to see their flaws and then redo it and make it better. So since then, all of the architects have made this place glorious. They made it what it is. It's a city built to awe. Just like the idea of refinement. Range Rover has constantly improved the Evoque every year. They're tweaking, perfecting. They pare things down to make it more beautiful and purposeful. Refinement to me is about a journey to perfection, right? It's constantly tweaking things, constantly improving and never settling. But no matter where I travel in the world, there's nothing like coming home to Chicago. Seeing that skyline get bigger and bigger as I approach it, I love it. Everything is just perfect.
Joe, thank you. In addition to being a great auto executive and a good communicator, your Simon Cowell remark was closer to the truth than I thought. I said, how'd you find this great band? He said, I went online and looked for Chicago music talent, and I found the Woodses. So, Joe, thank you for not only a great presentation, but for being a great talent scout as well. So, we only have a few minutes for questions. I'm going to zip through 2 or 3. So, in your remarks, you mentioned that you see the day in the future when we have a auto industry that is almost entirely autonomous. You said it's in the future, but not in the far distant future. So what year do you envision this really coming to life? And will this be largely an urban phenomenon, or is it something that you see outside of urban areas as well?
Yeah, I think it depends on a lot of factors, really. It will be real starting in 2020, as I mentioned, with our partnership with Waymo. They will roll out that service over 2 years in 20 cities to start with. But the question really from a larger scale adoption is dependent on a couple of things. One is the technology, and that pretty much exists today. We have the most complex sensor, radar, and LiDAR systems, which you need for that in the vehicle to recognize what's going on and where it's going. So that's one component, but that's pretty much figured out. So the technology application is there. The second factor is then society, right? We all grew up for the last 100 years with driving our cars. And so you have regulations, you have insurance policies, you have pedestrian signs, I mean, you name it, street signs. It's all focused on the way we drove cars. So to me, that is really the biggest change that has to happen, and the one that's probably the least predictable. I mean, trying to get regulation, for instance, alone in all the states will be a massive undertaking. And then the third element is the consumer. We all forget that at least some of us still like to drive, right? There is something about that emotional connection, being behind the wheel and driving a car. So, full autonomy, I think, will take part of that, but we need to allow our customers to be in control when they want to drive and when they want to be driven. So you take all of that together, and my best guess is we're still decades away from a full autonomous future. So, but the first signs will be there 2 years from now.
Another broader industry trend you mentioned in your remarks was fully electric vehicles. And congratulations to Land Rover. Next year you'll have at least some electric option across your whole product line. But when we talk about pure EVs, not hybrids, but pure EVs, you noted that it's still just 1% of the market. How long will it take for EVs to become a substantial part of the market, let's say 25 or 30%, and what will the factors that will drive that transformation?
That's another tough question. Is that what the Economy Club questions are like usually? That's right. Well, there's a lot of different prognosticators out there that come up with different answers. So some say that by 2025 we'll have 25% of the cars all electric. I happen to think that's way too soon and way too big. I think the adoption depends on a couple of things. One is the cost of the technology. Batteries are still fairly expensive compared to internal combustion engines. Secondly is the range. So we're getting in a area now with 300 plus miles where it's less of an issue, right? But some consumers are still concerned about that. The time it takes to recharge, currently that can be up to, half an hour to an hour on many cars, which is still too long for long trips. So these are things that need to be solved. And then lastly, the infrastructure, right? If you think of a city like Chicago, if everyone plugged in their car tomorrow, I'm not sure the electricity grid could actually handle that.
Right.
Same in major metropolitan areas. So take all of that together, I think we will see that meteoric rise that we've seen 25 plus over 2 years continue, but from a very small base. So my best guess is that it will be, call it 25, 30 before we see a quarter of
2025 or 25, 30. Okay. Yeah. Not that far.
Not that far, but maybe a lot further out that some would predict.
Great. So I just want to shift, because it's probably we'll only have time for one or two more questions, to a Jaguar Land Rover specific question. So delighted you're here and you represent such a great brand. When I originally thought of Jaguar Land Rover, especially Jaguar, I had this picture in my mind of older male consumer, maybe an ascot in their jacket pocket. But we did some research in terms of what your current demographics are, and there were two stunning statistics to me, which I'd like you to talk a little bit about. The first was that in just a 3-year period, you have lowered the average age of the Jaguar buyer by 7 years. It used to be 58, and now it's 51. The second key statistic was for the Evoque, specifically, and across all your product line, you are getting more and more women consumers. And in fact, that 2/3 of the buyers of the Evoque are women. Mm-hmm. So in an industry that's dying to get younger and female buyers, how have you done it?
Yeah, I think, first of all, 56, 57 is not old.
Yeah, right. No, certainly.
I have to say. But no, we all clearly as an industry are trying to get the average age down as quickly as possible, and 51, coming from 57 to 51 is indeed a huge improvement, and with that we're actually younger than the average luxury auto buyer with a Jaguar brand. The way we achieve that is through the product, right? So we introduced the F-Pace, we introduced the E-Type, then XE. These are all cars that speak to a much younger audience at the core of these luxury segments. So it's really
at a lower price point?
And a lower price point. So we made the car more affordable, we brought the right product, and then we backed it all with the industry best and industry leading maintenance and care package. We call it Jaguar Elite Care. For the full length of the industry best warranty, you get actually service included. So it's a hassle-free purchase, great looking product with all.
How about women?
Women, well, I think in general the compact SUV segment is actually one that's predominantly bought by women. I think for not just us, but the industry as a whole, 2/3 of the compact SUVs are bought by female buyers. And I think it has to do with the practicality of the car, with the driving position. You sit up higher. It's a command driving position. And then in the case of the Evoque, it's just a gorgeous car on top of it. So you combine all of that, and it really makes the perfect choice for anybody, any buyer, but in particular females.
Great. We have about 30 seconds. One last question that was not on the agenda. You're a car guy.
Yeah.
Aside from a Land Rover or Jaguar, what was the favorite car you ever owned?
The favorite car I ever owned.
Or your favorite car ever, if you want to broaden it.
So the favorite car I ever owned and still own is Porsche 911. So that's still in the garage,
Yep.
but driven by my wife mostly. And my favorite car, money no object, that I never owned is the Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing.
Very good. Well, Joe, thank you so much for a great presentation and product launch. On behalf of the Economic Club, we'd like to thank you today for everything you've done for us, and a special thank you to our sponsor, Fifth Third Bank, and the Chicago Automobile Trade Association. So thank you very much. You're adjourned. Food is served behind you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.